Nina Shea is next, but first, Turkish President Erdogan ordered the conversion of the Hagia Sophia monument into a mosque this week. Erdogan told worshippers, or rather led worshippers, in their first Islamic prayers offered in the Hagia Sophia since Ataturk secularized it in 1934. At that time, he made it a museum open to all people of faiths. The iconic structure was completed in 537 AD by Byzantine Emperor Justinian and originally served as an Orthodox cathedral. The decision by President Erdogan has caused an international uproar and is seen by many as causing an unbridgeable rift between the Muslim and Christian worlds. More on this with my next guest. Christian churches continue to be attacked and vandalized all over the globe, while Islamic extremists actively persecute Christians in Nigeria in what's being called a religious genocide. What's fueling all the hate, and why does much of the West remain silent? Here with an update on these hot spots and others is Director of the Center for Religious Freedom at the Hudson Institute, Nina Shea. Nina, what's the significance, first of all, of Turkish President Erdogan's decision to convert the Hagia Sophia in Turkey to a mosque? What's he trying to convey here?
He's trying to convey that he is bringing back the Ottoman Empire. He is also trying to convey that the Islamic supremacy, because this was, as you pointed out, for 1,000 years, a cathedral, right. And before that, even in the 300s, it was built as a church. And he started in March by praying in Hagia Sophia a conquest verse, a conquest of Christians. So this is highly symbolic. He is saying that Saudi Arabia is no longer in charge of the Sunni Muslim world, is no longer the leader, but he is. And this is going to be a neo-Ottoman country, or maybe even an empire. So it's all very symbolic and signaling of his political ambition.
What does it mean to minority faiths in Turkey, though, Nina?
Well, this is the backdrop of the story, Raymond. This is the country that committed genocide, carried out genocide against its Christian population right. in last century. So it's the Armenians, the Greek Orthodox, and their numbers are very, very few. This was a seat of the church of the early church, Constantinople, and now there are barely any Christians left, and they are really second-class citizens here.
The persecution of Christians, Nina, continues in Nigeria as well, a country that's now 50% Muslim, 50% Christian. What pressure, if any, is being put on the Nigerian government to stop the violence against Christians there? It's extreme.
It is extreme. Some are saying now it is genocide. There are signs of genocide. There have been reports from the UK, Lord David Alton, whom we've had as a guest many times. He has written a report saying that. So it's a very serious problem. The Christians of the North are being attacked by both Boko Haram, which is affiliated with ISIS, and by Fulani extremists. These are Muslim neighbors who are herders, and they are migrants, and they are attacking in the most brutal ways Christian villages. The United States has not recognized this yet. The religious freedom reports that were released in June by the State Department did not really talk about it at all. And it's just astonishing. They frame it as an economic struggle between two classes of rural workers over a shortage of resources. So it's more or less a Marxian analysis of what's going on, rather than recognizing that everybody in Nigeria is religious and that their religion is an important component. It's not the only component. There is climate change problems. There are economic resource problems, but there is always also this religious element. And it's explicit.
I hope they repair that analysis and move accordingly. Let's end with China, Nina. There's still no religious freedom in communist China. Things, in fact, are worse than ever for Catholics on the mainland and certainly in Hong Kong. Now, earlier I discussed with Ed Penton that China-Vatican deal, which so far has given the Vatican nothing and Catholics in China less than nothing. Given the hacking that we saw, should the Vatican sign a renewal of that original agreement or entertain any kind of diplomacy with China?
No, they should not delude themselves into thinking that this will improve relations. It's not improving it. Over the pandemic, China has taken advantage of the fact that the West is distracted. They've started retranslating the Bible to leave certain books and verses out that do not accord with the Communist Party. This is the analysis of a Hong Kong Divinity School head. There are new rules issued religious rules issued in February saying that all the church's policies and priorities must follow those of the Communist Party, that they must educate their employees and citizens that is, the churches must, in communist policy, in Communist Party policies, and that they must base their homilies and sermons on the sayings of President Xi. So it's gotten much worse. There's a bishop that's been taken away in detention, Bishop Kui of Hebei province. Right. He spent 13 years in detention without due process. And he was released for the COVID virus, the coronavirus epidemic there. And now he's back in detention. There's other priests that have disappeared into detention because they refuse to swear that they will adopt the ideology of the Communist Party and not follow the Vatican.
What do you make of those negotiating this deal, Nina? Is it just naivete on the Vatican's part?
Well, frankly, it's inexplicable, Raymond. There's the Hong Kong takeover, there's the hacking of the Vatican computers, there's the COVID deception, and there's the crushing of the church itself. It's not going to work well. Archbishop Claudio Celli, who has been this long-term negotiator, is calling for the renewal of the provisional agreement, which expires September 17th.
It's a bad agreement. It was bad at its inception. It's worse today in light of events. Its
contents are still secret, Raymond, and that's what's one of the most pernicious things about it that Cardinal Zen pointed out, because it allows the communist government of China to tell the Chinese Catholics what's in it, and they make it up, and they say that you cannot belong to the underground church, you must sign up with the Communist Party, which now has direct supervision over the churches.
You attended a congressional hearing today, Nina, on religious freedom in China, and particularly the case of the bishop you just mentioned. Where does the U.S. go from here? Does it have any leverage? I mean, we've had this trade pact, but it seems now even that's in jeopardy.
Well, I think it's very important that the United States keep applying economic pressure, targeting it against those who are most responsible for this repression, no matter how high it goes. And also, we must work on a workaround so that for their firewall, their internet firewall, so that we're able to get the truth and information and the scripture to the Chinese people. The Bible and catechism is completely banned for young people. Churches are not allowed to have people under 18 in their churches. How do they expect, how does the Vatican expect that there will be vocations to the priesthood or to the Protestant ministries, that there will be a new generation of Catholics under this and Christians under these rules without with the censorship of the Bible that's going on now, and then indoctrination from the pulpits, because that's now being required. Christianity, which was on a trajectory to be the largest church in the world in China in just a few years, will be lucky if it has any remnant Christianity left, because the underground is being absolutely crushed.
Right.
It's going to revert to a small, very trusted circle of Christians praying in their homes, almost like the North Korean model. And it would be enhanced by having access to internet information and education.
It's a heartbreaking situation, and we have to stay on top of it, and I thank you for keeping us up to date. Nina Shea's reports on the persecution of Christians around the world and all people of faith can be found at hudson.org. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.